Hello, hello. Welcome back to Brenda's Books. Thank you for coming back to listen to more of Dad, Thad, and my skateboard. Today we are on part 7, and I just recently decided to name these sections because, part 7 is kind of boring, even though it's all one story. So I decided to call part 7 Nobody's Perfect. And this section starts right off from where part 6 ended, so I'll give you the last few lines of that section to refresh your memory. Here we go. Now my soul was singing and dancing, but I was also super nervous because this was definitely not a friend hug. I knew if I held on to him for more than another 3 seconds, I would melt. So with great reluctance, I pulled out of the embrace. Thad's fervent gaze turned questioning, but I smiled at him to make sure he knew everything was all right. I followed Thad over the rock mountain until we reached the cove where we met Bryce and Connor. The 4 of us rock climbed together for a couple of hours before we picked up Chrissy from shore. Then we all spent the rest of the afternoon wakeboarding and laughing our guts out at anything and everything. In the evening, I practiced with the swim team, and Thad came to watch. Then, just like last night, the 5 of us went swimming in the public pool. This day was repeated for pretty much the whole summer. I almost forgot I had a skateboard, until one day when things began to change. I lay in the bow of Connor's speedboat in my emerald green racing suit, while we were idling in the water, taking a break to eat lunch. I wasn't quite ready to eat, so I just closed my eyes and did my best to soak up some sun. "I can't believe how tan you've gotten," said Bryce. I opened my eyes to look at him. He sat across from me on the other side of the bow, while leaning forward with his forearms on his thighs. His brown eyes smiled at me. I lifted my arms to examine my skin. "Oh wow, you're right." I sat up with a huge smile, noticing my legs were just as dark. "I never thought I would be as tan as you guys." Bryce chuckled. "Well, I don't think you're as tan." "Well, nobody's perfect," I said, lying back down. Bryce laughed. "Hey, Speaking of perfect," Chrissy said loudly from the back of the boat. "I think it's your turn to go next, Thad, if everybody's done chillin'." Thad stood from his seat at the back. "All right. Hey, Stacy, do you want to go duo?" "Can you do that later?" Bryce whispered to me. "I want to ask you something." I shifted my head in surprise against the leather seat to look at Bryce. Why would he want to keep a secret with me, of all people? Thankfully, Thad couldn't see my face. I gave Bryce a questioning look. "Stacy?" Thad repeated. I sat up and slid my legs onto the floor so that I was facing Bryce. I craned my neck over the driver's seat so I could see Thad. "But I always mess you up." "No way! You're getting so good," Thad promised. "We almost got it last time." "Yeah, you're almost as good as me now, Stace," said Connor, shaking out a towel next to Chrissy. "It's really lame." I cracked a smile at that, and so did he. "Come on, we got this," said Thad, motioning with his head to the lake as he buckled up his life jacket. "Let's do it later, okay?" I said. Thad stared at me for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he shrugged. "All right, solo time it is." He jumped into the water with a big splash, and Connor tossed him his wakeboard. Bryce waited until Thad was speeding in and out of the wake before he spoke to me again. "Hey, do you want to come to my house tonight? Connor and I are opening our letters to see what we got on our AP tests. I know it's kinda lame, but we want to have a little party too. My mom's going to make cake and popcorn and stuff, and my stepdad makes this crazy good salsa." I shook my head, which was now full of questions. "Wait, you took an AP test already? I thought you were a junior this year." "I am, but Connor and I got to take our tests a year early. I took history and math, and Connor took English and math." "The twins are crazy smart," Chrissy called from the back of the boat. Bryce leaned his head forward so he could see Chrissy. "Look who's talking, Miss I'm published." "What?" I leaned forward as well to catch Chrissy's eye. "Yeah," said Bryce. "Chrissy got a short story published in an anthology this year." "No way! Chrissy, how come you didn't tell me?" Chrissy shrugged. "It never came up." "Too bad my mom thinks anthologies are fossils in the ocean," she muttered. "What?" Since Chrissy's back was to me, I looked to Bryce for interpretation. "Chrissy's mom has schizophrenia," Bryce whispered. "Oh, right," I mumbled, my cheeks flushing. Well, I had no idea I was friends with such nerds, I said, trying to lighten the mood I had just crushed. What about you, Stacy? Said Connor from his place at the steering wheel. What do you like to do in the school year? I shrugged. I won seconds in districts in speech and debate last year. Bryce laughed. Now I understand why you always get your way with everyone. I do not, I protested. Bryce grinned. What else? Well, I'm in advanced history, but that's not really impressive. Bryce's eyes bulged. Are you kidding me? Historians for the win! He reached his hand up for a high five. Oh wow, you are a nerd, I said, but I reached up and slapped his hand anyway. So are you going to come to the Nerd Fest tonight, Stacy? Connor asked. Well, sure, but we're inviting Thad too, right? No one spoke. What the heck, you guys? Why wouldn't you invite Thad? Your boyfriend's got a family thing, Stacy, said Bryce, and I don't want to invite him because I don't want him to feel left out. That makes 0 sense, I said, ignoring the boyfriend comment. Even if he does have a family thing, you still invite him. That's how he's not going to feel left out. Ah, so he is your boyfriend, said Bryce with a teasing smile. Shut up, I said. Seriously, why aren't you inviting him? Bryce looked to Chrissy for help, who just raised her hands in surrender. I'm staying out of it. Did you and Thad have a fight or something? I asked Bryce. What? No. I'm keeping a promise to him. To Thad? Yeah. That makes no sense, I cried. Shut up, you guys, said Connor, killing the gas and turning the boat around. Thad's down and he'll be coming back in the boat. So what? I nearly yelled. Why are we keeping this a secret from him? Hey, Thad called, swimming toward the boat. Did anyone see my tantrum to blind spin? How did it look? Oh, is that when you basically jump and flip in the air and land backwards? Chrissy asked, sounding overly eager to answer his question. It was perfect. I've never seen you do it so well. Seriously? Thad said, climbing into the boat and dripping everywhere. Totally, Chrissy said with excitement. I don't think I've ever seen you flip so high. Thad grabbed the towel that Chrissy held out to him, giving her a quizzical look. He dried his face, then said, You're doing that thing, Chrissy, where you praise me to death to make me feel better. Except this time, he opened his arms. I don't need to feel better. What's going on with you? Nothing's going on, said Chrissy, her voice higher than usual. Thad obviously did not believe her, as he studied her some more. Then he glanced over the rest of our faces. Stacy, you look mad. What's wrong? I opened my mouth to speak, but Bryce beat me to it. She just thinks I wasn't going to invite you to this little thing at my house tonight. But I didn't say anything to you because I knew you had that family thing to go to. Thad began unbuckling his life jacket. His slightly shivering body accentuated the toned muscles of his stomach and arms. Despite my anger with my friends, I still felt a thrill rush through my chest. Well, Keaton's t-ball game will probably be short. They're not that good, Thad said with a smile. So I could come when it's over. Oh yeah, that'd be cool, said Bryce. My stepdad's gonna make his salsa. Thad grinned. Nice. Is this some kind of occasion? Bryce shrugged. Nah, just want to hang with some good food and stuff. You're such a liar, I blurted out. Bryce shot me a mixed look of anger and pleading. Thad glanced back and forth between us with complete confusion. But before I could say anything else, Chrissy caught my arm and squeezed hard. Shut up, Stacy, she said in a fierce whisper. We're going to give Thad a surprise, okay? So stop talking about it. I shook her arm off me. Why didn't you tell me that before? I whispered back with the same fierceness. I don't know, because it's hard to explain. Now will you please just let it go? Her eyes glowed with desperation. Then Thad appeared beside us. What is going on? Chrissy and I both took a deep breath at the same time. Nothing, I said. We're good. Chrissy perked up. Yup, definitely all good. She patted Thad on the chest. Every time she did that, it bothered me. But this time, I really hated it. I stared out the window of my dad's pickup on our way home from the lake. The winding canyons didn't usually bother me, but today every turn made me want to hurl. Even when I anticipated Dad's braking correctly, it didn't help. So how was wakeboarding today? You getting any good? Dad asked. I shrugged. Yeah, I'm getting better. Dad waited for me to elaborate, but I didn't. An awkward silence filled the cab. So why the long face? Said Dad. I placed my arm up by the window. I'm fine, Dad. How was work? No, Dad said, shaking his head. Don't change the subject. We are not going back to you being elusive. I grabbed my stomach as I focused on the road ahead. My friends were just being weird today. Weird how? I lifted up a hand and dumped it back in my lap. I don't know. I feel like everyone's trying to keep something from Thad, but I don't know why. What are they trying to keep from him? I explained to my dad all that had happened on the boat, to which he responded, well, the 5 of you have always been really close. I would trust Chrissy that it's some kind of surprise. You probably just don't have all the details yet. Yeah, I guess, I said. Just then my phone buzzed, and I answered the call. Hi, Bryce. What's up? Oh, hey, Stacy. Just so you know, we're not going to be able to have that little party thing tonight after all. Really? How come? Oh, well, my mom and stepdad had a fight, so neither of them are in the mood anymore. That sucks. Why don't we just do it as friends? Nah, my mom wants to be there. Okay. When are you going to do it then? I'm not sure. Hey, what time's your swim meet today? 5:30? Wanna come? I would, but I've got some stuff to do. Sorry. That's fine. Are you coming to the pool later? If my mom lets me. Like I said, she's in a bad mood. Okay. Well, maybe I'll see you later then. See ya, Stace. Oh, Bryce? Yeah? What's Thad's surprise? Huh? Chrissy said you guys were having a surprise for Thad at your get-together thing. What is it? Oh, I don't know. Chrissy's planning that. Look, Stace, I gotta go, okay? Sure. Talk to you later. Bye. And with that, Bryce ended the call. My dad looked over at me from his steering wheel. Did that clear things up? Nope, not at all. I slouched in my seat and put my feet up on the dashboard. You don't think my friends would worry about Thad being jealous of Bryce and Connor, right? I mean, I've never seen Thad jealous before. My dad bounced his head to the side and back up. Well, the green monster can get anyone, but you're right. Thad does seem to be the calm and mature type. Besides, it's obvious he's a smart kid too. But hey, I think you should put all of this out of your mind so you can focus on your swim meet. You're coming, right? Dad patted my leg. Of course, I wouldn't miss it. It's crazy how nervous I can get for a race that only lasts 30 seconds. I just watched Chrissy kill it with the butterfly stroke, finishing 50 meters in only 61 seconds. I wanted to go congratulate her, but I was up next. I heard male voices cheering my name in the distance. I peered across the pool and saw Thad and my dad waving their hands high in the air. Of course, the 2 people I could always count on. You ready? Said the timekeeper next to me. I nodded as I lowered into position. The man held up his stopwatch. Ready, set, go! I found my target line and dove into the water. I pushed harder than I ever have before. I was determined to beat my personal best with freestyle this summer, so it might as well be tonight. 50 meters and 24.6 seconds later, I made it back to my starting place. I practically leaped out of the water when the timekeeper told me the great news. Nice job, Stacy, Chrissy called when I climbed out of the pool. She walked over to me quickly with a towel wrapped around her waist. You too, I cried as we crashed into each other for a hug. Thad and Dad were right behind her, and they both hugged me tight, despite getting soaked in the process. After a few minutes of excited chatter, Coach Russ ambled up to us. Hey girls, well done. I'm so proud of you both. Stacy, I hope you join the Boulder High swim team in the fall. We could really use you. My heart dropped. Oh, well, actually, I'm going back to Seattle in the fall. Coach frowned. That's too bad. Well, whatever team you're on, they sure are lucky to have you. Thanks, Coach. He shook my hand, then Chrissy's one last time before walking away. Chrissy turned to face me. She moved up and down on the balls of her feet. Oh, I wish you could be on the swim team with me this fall. With our 2 scores, we would crush everyone. I smiled sadly. I wish I could too. Well, I've got to get home, said Chrissy. You're not coming to the pool? I said. Not tonight. I gotta be with my mom. And I need to go to Keaton's game, said Thad. But I'll meet you at the pool later. Okay. I gave Chrissy and Thad one last hug before they slipped out the side door together. So, how about some ice cream to celebrate beating your personal best? Dad offered, squeezing me in a tight side hug. Well, since I'm already freezing, that sounds great, I said. Dad laughed as he put a towel around my shoulders. "Why don't you go change into something dry? I'll be right here." My dad was in as good of a mood as ever as he took me to Pinkberry's. I loved it when he whistled and sang to the radio, and I was happy to have a daddy-daughter date, but I still couldn't help feeling like my friends had ditched me. I was tempted to just go home after we got our ice cream to watch a movie by myself. I didn't think Thad would make it to the pool in time after his brother's game anyway. But just in case, I decided to enter the chlorine-infested building one more time. I could sit in the hot tub while I waited. That sounded nice, actually. Without my friends, lots of strangers my age came to talk to me. Well, it was more like flirting if I was being honest. Lots of smiles and laughs and jokes. Normally I would have enjoyed it, but I just wasn't feeling it tonight. 3 guys asked for my number, and each time I had to explain I had a boyfriend. They all gave me really strange looks when I told them he lived in Seattle. Finally, when I decided to lean my head against the wall and close my eyes, less people bothered me. "Hey, there you are. I've been looking everywhere for you." My eyes popped open at the sound of Thad's voice. His usual grin was intact as he stepped in the water and sat across from me. "Oh, hey," I said. "I didn't think you'd make it." "Oh yeah, they lost pretty big again." "Does Keaton care that his team loses all the time?" Thad spread out his arms and rested them on the wall's edge. "Nah, he only cares if he hits the ball, and he's pretty good at that." Just then I overheard 2 guys talking behind me. Well, of course that guy is her boyfriend. I should have known. But she said her boyfriend was from Seattle. Maybe he is. Thad laughed lightly as I heard the boys retreat elsewhere. "It sounds like you have some admirers. How many guys picked up on you before I got here?" His tone had a flirting edge to it as he gave me an amusing smile. I shrugged and leaned my head back on the wall and closed my eyes again. "Oh, come on." I felt Thad slide next to me in the water. "How many?" I opened my eyes and found his amused face much closer than I expected. Just then, Ashley appeared. As usual, she wore a pink bikini and kept her pinned-up hair dry. She gracefully stepped into the hot tub. But this time she brought 3 other girls with her. I groaned internally. "Hi there, Thad," they all said in the same sultry tone. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. Did they all have the same personality? Or were they all just following Ashley's lead? I decided it was the latter. "Hey," Thad said with a shy smile. I almost laughed at how nervous he looked. All 4 of them doggy-paddled over to him, pretending that I didn't even exist. "Oh my goodness," said one of the lemmings. She had raven hair and a green bikini. "You are so buff. How did you get so strong?" Thad stammered. "All that wakeboarding, huh?" said another. The third, who looked like she could be Ashley's twin, said, "Wow, check out his eyes. They are so gorgeous." She inched her way toward Thad until she was right in front of him. Thad straightened up against the wall as best he could to stay away from her. "Ladies, step back," Ashley cried. "This gorgeous guy is totally mine." Ashley slipped right next to Thad and wrapped her arms around him as she lay her head on his shoulder. "Oh my gosh, you guys," I snapped. "Leave him alone. Can't you see he doesn't want your disgusting attention?" All 4 girls gasped in unison. Thad pried Ashley's arm off and pushed himself up onto the wall behind him. "What's wrong, Thad?" said Ashley. "Stacy and I are going to the diving board," he replied. He gave me a pleading look. "Absolutely," I said. I slipped onto the wall also and got to my feet. Ashley protested with a very high squeak. "Ah, why do you always hang out with Stacy?" Thad stood. "Because I like her," he said with defiance. Ashley repeated her shrill protest. "Ah, and you don't like me?" "Well, you make it kinda hard, Ashley," Thad said in a rough tone. Ashley's jaw dropped, her face taking the form of a stunned fish. Thad grabbed my hand and led me away from the hot tub. "What does he see in her?" said one of the girls. Thad didn't let go of my hand until we had walked the long length of the pool. He halted just in front of the diving board before he let go. He rubbed both his palms up and down his face. "I'm sorry about that. Thanks for coming with me." "Why are you sorry?" I said. "Believe me, I was just as happy to get out of there as you were." With one hand, Thad squeezed his temples with his fingers and thumb, covering his eyes. Then he put his hands on his hips and stared out the exit that led to the lap pool. "Are you okay?" I asked. Thad pressed some hard fingers up his forehead. "Did the guys treat you like that? You know, the ones who were picking up on you before I got here." I stammered. Why was he asking me this? "They didn't have their hands all over me, if that's what you mean. They mostly just smiled, acted awkward, and asked me for my phone number." Thad lifted his eyes to the ceiling and spoke in a low voice. "Good, because I'd kill them if they did that to you." My eyes bulged. I had never heard anything remotely vengeful come out of Thad's mouth before. Whoa! Look, I know those girls are annoying, but most guys would give anything for that kind of attention. Thad pursed his lips and nodded. He put his hands back on his hips and looked out the exit again. "Hey," I placed my hand on his arm, and he returned his gaze to mine. "Are you okay?" I repeated. He smiled briefly. "Yeah, it's just been a rough day." I raised my eyebrows. I had spent most of the day with him, and nothing really happened. "What do you mean? Being the perfect guy that everybody wants is getting to you?" Thad rolled his eyes. "I'm not perfect, Stacy." "Well, what's wrong? Did something happen at home?" "No. My family and I had a great time at Keaton's game." "I can imagine," I said. "Your family seems to be pretty much perfect, too." Thad sighed and shrugged. "Yeah, they pretty much are." "But you're not telling me something, Thad. Are things not as they seem?" "With what?" "With your family." "No, things are as they seem with my family. My family is not fake." For the first time ever this summer, Thad spoke to me with defiance. "I didn't say that," I replied. "I'm just wondering what could possibly be wrong with a guy who is absolutely gorgeous, who everybody wants, and who is good at everything, and has an amazing family. That's all I'm saying. I mean, Bryce and I have our parents' divorce to deal with. Chrissy's mom has schizophrenia. Connor lives with his great aunt and has never even met his parents. And none of us are crazy good at things like you are. So unless something happened, I have no idea what could be wrong." Thad stared at me with an unfathomable expression. "Wow, you think those are the only problems in the world?" "Well, no, really, Stacy. You think nobody in the world could possibly have a problem that you don't relate to?" "Well, And do you really think my life is perfect? Do you really think that?" Again, for the first time ever, Thad looked unhappy with me. "Well, I half expected him to cut me off again, but he didn't. And of course this time, I couldn't think of what to say." Thad sighed heavily and rubbed his hands down his face again. "I better go. Do you need a ride home?" No, I drove my dad's truck." "Okay, I'll see you later." And with that, Thad walked briskly out the exit, leaving me behind and staring after him. And that concludes part 7. I hope you come back next week for part 8, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Until next time, take care.